And thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. We'll get to the Broncos in just a second. So much more. We got plenty to get to. Let's start with that giant wheel behind you in the photo we just saw, the curse wheel. So tell the audience about the curse wheel and how it's worked, because you believe that you have curse powers. What do you got? How's it working?
Yeah, it started, because of general superstition for sports fans. And when I first started doing power rankings, I think when I was putting a team at number one, they kept losing. And then everybody said, you're cursing the number one ranked team. And I decided we needed to up the ante and bring in a gimmick, because I was struggling for views, if I'm being really honest. And if you know anything about YouTube, a good gimmick goes a long way. And for whatever reason, the accuracy of just spinning a wheel has turned into mastery of the dark arts. I have studied the Necronomicon to make this wheel work, and I spend hours and hours every week to make sure it is potent and accurate. And I feel bad because this season specifically, it's attacked the Indianapolis Colts, who are one of the best stories of the year. They're the team I ranked number one week one, and every time they have lost, all of their losses, the wheel has landed on them. And this last week, I was in the Colts Reddit and a little scared for the first time based on some of the responses from fans.
Our very own Severus Snape here on the show. So let's stick with the Colts, because you have been all over this Phillip Rivers news on Twitter. I know 44-year-old Phillip Rivers coming back to the NFL after sitting on his couch for the last 5 years. I know he's been coaching high school football, everybody. I'm aware of that, but hasn't been on an NFL football field. Yesterday, we broke down some athletes that have found a ton of success after retiring and then coming back. George Foreman, Gordie Howe. What does success for Phillip Rivers look like for the Indianapolis Colts to you, or have you just cursed them into oblivion?
No, I think the curse wheel did all of this just to get Rivers back on the field. I think this was the plan, and I think he's going to succeed. I think any man who is approaching 40 who has hit 40, whether they were a Rivers fan or not, is rooting for Phil to succeed. And the way he played, like, if we're being honest, I think he's okay. He never moved around a lot. I watched a lot of Phillip Rivers. He's a statue in the pocket, but he gets rid of the ball quickly. As long as his ability to process defenses picks up, where he left off, then I think he's going to be okay. I think the question is, it's how long he's been away from the game, how much has, the defense and how defenses are deployed, how much has that changed? Where's he going to be at when he's, behind center? I think that's what I find curious versus his actual age, because he's also very durable in his career. And the last time he played for Indy, he was playing really good football. Even in the loss to the Bills in the playoffs, he had a pretty good game. So when he actually retired, it felt like he could keep playing, and it was just his choice to not continue playing. So I'm optimistic, maybe blindly, but Phillip is also the only player who I hated Phillip Rivers as a Broncos fan. He got into it with Jay Cutler back in the day when Cutler was starting with Denver, and Rivers annoyed me. And he's the only player who ever completely turned me, because now Rivers is one of my all-time favorite players in football history. So I am rooting for Phil. I need him to succeed.
So if the curse wheel manifested that, the real question is, are the Broncos even on the curse wheel? Can the curse wheel somehow land on Denver?
Yeah, I have to have them on there. You can't try to manipulate it. It doesn't work. If you try to manipulate it. I've tried to, put the Chiefs on there multiple times, and it's they've gotten to the Super Bowl every year. So I stay true to it. I spin it once, sometimes twice, and, see what happens.
Okay, Brandon, then I got to know, because you're a Broncos fan. I'm a Raiders fan. I have my helmet behind me. What the hell am I going to have to do to get you to take the Raiders off the curse wheel? Okay, and I'm beaten down. You win. Yeah. I lose. I'm sorry for my entire, just get them off the wheel, man. Get them off the wheel.
Yeah, they're not on. So it's only the top 14 or 15 teams in the league.
Never mind.
They're just
So,
authentically
Raiders,
bad.
That hurts.
Talk about a
Thank you.
disappointing season.
Thank you so much.
I thought the Raiders were going to be
Brandon.
respectable this year. I thought they're going to be competitive.
You and me both. Caroline asked him a question. I'm going to drink. I'm just going to go drink.
Just as long as everybody's having fun, I just hope there's a lot of fun to be had in Vegas, right? Yeah. So obviously you're a diehard Broncos fan. We did see yesterday former Broncos quarterback Russell Wilson tweet this out. He said, quote, "Man, I got to get back to balling and being me, back to my first 10. It's time to go dark." What do you make of old Mr. Unlimited's tweet yesterday?
Yeah, he was responding to someone who said Russell Wilson from 2017 to 2020 would be the best quarterback in the NFL this season or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I root for Russ. I think he's struggling with where he's at in his career, and I think what made Russell Wilson so special early in his career was his elite athleticism. And I think, he's lost a step, and some of the things he used to be able to do from the QB position, he just can't do anymore. So it's kind of fitting, talking about this and talking about Rivers coming back, and Wilson's a guy who, when you're looking at super athletic quarterbacks who succeed now, it's how they evolve with the game, where what kind of success are they going to have later in their career? And in terms of being himself, I think he's probably alluding to the fact that since he's left Seattle, he tried to make it work in Denver, then he tried to do what Sean Payton wanted, and then he went into Pittsburgh and probably tried to do what they wanted, and maybe he feels like he is a little limited in what he's been asked to do on the field, but I know what he's saying. I just don't think he's going to get back to, 2017 Russ.
I mean, we can all try and manifest getting back there. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
You lived through Russ watching that. You're now watching Bo Nix. It feels like a lot of us have had a minute where we're trying to figure out exactly who Bo Nix is. Who is Bo Nix to you?
He's just the greatest quarterback I've ever seen in my life.
Of
Since
course.
Peyton Manning and since John Elway.
Okay.
He saved my team. Him and Sean Payton have saved the Broncos. Bo is a very solid quarterback who is developing and getting better. And I think this season we thought Bo should be better earlier in the year based on the experience he had last year with Sean, knowing the offense. And I think it just took a while for things to start to click for them. But I think Bo, kind of like Russ, gets a lot of unfair criticism, and I'm not sure why that is. I think there's a lot of people who had Bo graded low on their draft board, and they really want to be right that he's not as good as he's playing. And I, through a season where they're at 11 wins and they win 9 and 10 in a row. At some point, you just got to be like, okay, he's playing pretty good football. And against the Raiders last week, it wasn't a glamorous game, but those 8+ minute drives over and over again, you got to have a quarterback who's not making mistakes, who's not putting the ball in harm's way to do that. And I felt like that was one of their better victories, but since it was against your Raiders, everybody wants to say, they should have beat them by 25 points or whatever, but I thought it was one of their better games.
I agree.
What was your take on that game watching?
No, you're 1,000% right. The Raiders, part of for everybody that says the Broncos should have won by more, I think if you go back and you watch this, a nerd stat for me, but look at number of snaps. When you talk about sustained drives, it changes the ability to have enough possessions to really create a blowout. So a lot of bad teams are trying to figure out a way to get more snaps. That's been a problem for the Raiders all year. But the Broncos in that game, sustainable drives meant clock control. And the minute they had clock control, they weren't going to score enough to really murder them. But it was a 10-point win that easily could have turned into much bigger. So, yeah, I thought it was an impressive win by Denver and a much better effort than Denver showed against the Raiders just a couple of weeks ago on that Thursday night game for sure.
That was a weird
Do you
game.
trust Bo enough to win a Super Bowl?
I do. And the reason I trust Bo Nix is he plays his best football when the pressure is on. So even his rookie year, there was this weird thing that happened where right before halftime, when they kind of went to that hurry-up offense, it was like Bo would be struggling all game, and then those 2 minutes before halftime played really well. And then to, close out games, it was more of a mixed bag the rookie year. This year, like, when they need a drive for 9 out of 10 times, they have put it together. And I think to win a Super Bowl, you need a QB who can do those things. It might not be perfect all game or, pretty all game, but yeah, he's clutch. And that's when I think he starts just playing by instinct and not like overthinking things. And I think in a Sean Payton offense, I think we were overly optimistic on, it's a very complicated thing and that Bo should have it completely understood in year 2. And I think it's more like a 4-year program before you're really able to digest all the things that Sean wants to do.
Yeah, I think Clutch Bo is pretty undeniable. Also undeniable, 7 months ago, you made a YouTube video on Shedeur Sanders titled the real reason Shedeur Sanders fell in the draft. Nearly 1 million views on that thing. So why did he fall in the draft? How are you feeling about it now?
I can't even remember why I said he fell in the draft. It was all the reasons that he fell. I think there was a disconnect between where the public continued to believe he was going to get drafted versus where NFL teams graded him. And I think we see a lot of that, before drafts anyway. There's a lot of information that's smoke screens out there. And when we heard that Shedeur might not go in the first round at all, I was like, that's probably just teams trying to not tip what they want to do. But I watched him at CU, and I'll preface this by saying, I've never been a Deion Sanders fan. I always found Deion annoying. And when the Buffs hired him, I was excited because I knew what kind of attention that Deion brought. So I only say that because when I started watching the Buffs, I was like, Shedeur's really good. I kind of wanted a reason to not like Shedeur, but he earned my respect just by watching him at CU. I saw him make a lot of NFL throws, so I've been rooting for him. And if you pay attention to him and his brother, I think they're very funny. They're talking. His brother was asking him this week if he was wearing a thong in the game, and he was talking about it was just his back was taped up. So they have a good sense of humor about everything, and I think for whatever reason the perception is different from publicly. But he's played pretty good since he's been the starter there, and I hope he continues to, and I hope Cleveland has some sort of answer for their quarterback position at the end of this season.
All right, last one before we get you out of here. This is a family show, so we're going to keep it PG, but we did see a very not PG video of Mike Kafka, the Giants interim head coach, circulating on socials yesterday, just letting the F-bombs fly in team meetings. And the cutaways to the players were absolutely hilarious. You could see Mike Kafka getting all worked up, and the players were just totally and completely stoic. What do you make of this, cursing Mike Kafka? Is that the right way? Is that the right communication style? Is going to get this season turned around for the Giants?
I don't know if it's going to get the season turned around. I saw the clip. I didn't watch it, but I think without watching it, I'm just going to say he probably didn't curse enough. I think he can do more.
Probably fair.
Yeah. We're working on a Giants video, so I'm sure we'll get this in there.
Look, I just, if you could figure out the opposite of a curse wheel for me and just put, the Raiders as the only thing, I'll just spin it until maybe some voodoo doll, something, turn it around for
me.
A
blessing wheel, if you will.
A blessing wheel.
Yes.
We're going to start a blessing wheel, maybe start the lower half. You guys can follow him on social media at That's Good Sports on YouTube, obviously at Brandon Perna out there on X. Really appreciate your time, Brandon. Congratulations on all the success. Your content's absolutely great. We really appreciate you hanging out with us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Brandon.
This is fun.